Imagine standing in the middle of the Colosseum. 50,000 Romans are screaming for blood. You're half naked, holding a rusty trident, facing a seasoned killer in armor. There's no mercy, no second chances. Could you survive as a gladiator? Today, we're diving into the gritty, brutal world of ancient Roman gladiators. These weren't just fighters, they were celebrities, slaves, heroes, and tools of political spectacle. And the truth about their lives might surprise you. From grueling training camps to deadly arena tricks, we'll explore the raw reality behind the myth. Could the average person survive it? Could you? Let's find out. And hey, if this sounds like your kind of historical deep dive, give that like button a solid jab. Subscribe for more crazy true stories and ancient what-ifs. The word gladiator comes from the Latin gladius, meaning sword. Gladiators weren't born warriors. Most were prisoners of war, criminals, or slaves trained to entertain the public through combat. But here's the twist. Some volunteered. Yes, some Roman citizens willingly gave up their freedom for the fame, the women, and the wealth. These were known as actorati. Think of them like early thrill seekers, desperate for glory or debt relief. Once in the system, your life was controlled by a lanista, a gladiator trainer who owned you, body and soul. Training was intense, borderline torturous, but it wasn't chaos. It was precise, structured, and heavily regulated. Because dead gladiators don't make money. Gladiators lived in Ludi, military-style training schools with locked cells, harsh rules, and brutal routines. Think Roman boot camp, except you might be stabbed during sparring. You'd wake before sunrise, train for hours in the sun, practice with wooden weapons double the weight of real ones to build strength. You ate a high-carb, bean-heavy diet to build a thick layer of fat, not muscle. Why? Fat slowed bleeding and helped you survive longer in the arena. Yeah, gladiators were bulky, not shredded. Every move was choreographed. Each fighter had a style: Thracian, Murmillo, Retiarius, each with its own armor, weapons, and fighting tactics. Matches weren't random brawls. They were like chess matches with blood.
Game day. You're standing in the Colosseum or a local amphitheater. Trumpets blare. The crowd roars. The emperor waves his hand. You step into the sand, facing another man or animal who's trained just as hard as you. Your heart pounds. Your mouth is dry. There's no going back. The fights weren't always to the death. Contrary to popular belief, most weren't. Gladiators were expensive investments, and survival meant more matches. But every battle carried real danger. A missed parry, a wrong step, a crowd demanding death. If a fighter was wounded or overpowered, he could signal surrender. Then the fate decision came from the crowd or the sponsor of the games. Thumbs up, you lived. Thumbs down, you died. Sort of. Actually, the thumbs down equals death thing? That's Hollywood. Romans probably used gestures like a thumb to the throat. Way more dramatic. So, what were your chances of survival? Statistically, not as bad as you'd think. Most gladiators lived to fight another day. On average, a gladiator fought 2 to 3 times a year and had a career lifespan of 3 to 5 years. Survival rates hovered around 80 to 90% per fight. But don't celebrate just yet. Infections, gangrene, and poor medical care often killed fighters after the arena. And if you refused to fight, tried to escape, or disrespected your trainer, you were executed publicly. Survive long enough, though, and you could become famous, adored, worshipped.
A few even earned their freedom, a Ludus, a wooden sword given as a token of retirement. That's like getting an Oscar made of pine.
Gladiators were the rock stars of ancient Rome. They had fan clubs, graffiti art, action figures, seriously, and groupies. Some were so beloved, they were buried like kings. One fighter named Flamma turned down freedom 4 times just to keep fighting. Others made serious cash from sponsorships and gifts. Nike deals weren't a thing, but you'd still rake in the denarii if the crowd liked you. But fame had a dark side. Gladiators were still slaves. You were entertainment, disposable. No matter how many statues were carved in your honor, you could be ordered to die at someone's whim. Imagine being both a legend and property. Could you handle that duality?
Yes, women were gladiators too. They were called gladiatrices, and while rare, they fought in special events often meant to shock or titillate the audience. Some even fought wild animals. Imagine a noblewoman disguised in armor, sword in hand, cheered on by a crowd who didn't even know her name. History, sadly, buried most of their stories, but inscriptions prove they existed. In 200 CE, Emperor Septimius Severus banned women from gladiator games. Too scandalous, apparently. Can't have women stealing the spotlight, right?
So let's be honest. Could you survive as a gladiator? Could you handle 6 hours of training daily, a diet of barley and beans, and being owned by a ruthless trainer? Could you face another human being in mortal combat while 50,000 people scream for blood? Because surviving wasn't just about muscles. It was about grit, endurance, showmanship, the ability to suffer and smile. Most of us wouldn't make it past the first training session, but those who did, they became gods among men. Their legacy still echoes through Colosseums, museums, and movie screens. So, if you ever feel like giving up, just remember, somewhere 2,000 years ago, a former slave stood in an arena and fought for his life and won. Thanks for stepping into the arena with me. Gladiators weren't just warriors, they were survivors, symbols, and legends. If you enjoyed this historical dive, go ahead, strike that like button like a Murmillo with a hammer. And if you're into true stories and ancient what-ifs, hit subscribe and ring the bell for more. Stay strong, stay smart, and most of all, stay curious.